Though I did watch Splice today, and it's good.
I don't even know what
but
that is.
That writer has a fetish. He definitely does.
I don't know what that movie's about, so
Splice is a movie. It came out in like 2009, 2010, but it's about Adrian Brody and the chick from Dawn of the Dead are scientists, and they are creating like gene splicing artificial life. And the chick from Dawn of the Dead decides like, hey, it would be really like this artificial life we've made is can make the like proteins and antibodies for like livestock. What if we put in human DNA, because this isn't a horror movie and this isn't going to go horribly wrong. So if we put in human DNA, maybe we can like cure human diseases. So she does, and it turns from this little capybara looking thing into like a human looking thing. And the movie goes from there. It's a lot more sci-fi than horror. There's like one creepy part like at the end, like the climax is like paced like a horror movie. The rest of the time it's like the Shape of Water type vibe. But no less than twice does a human copulate with that weird alien thing.
Goodness.
Oh dear.
One of them, incredibly consensual and like seduction romance, sleeping with the weird creepy alien creature. So
it's very Shape of Water.
Yeah, no, I get it though. It's like the first time you're like,
I love the Shape of Water.
It's like the first time you see the movie, the first sex scene, you're like, okay, this is interesting to have a sex scene. But the second time, you're like, okay, somebody involved in this movie was getting off on this. Somebody really wanted to.
Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I am Maddie Grace Webben.
And today, we will be playing Case 4 of DanganRonpa. And wipe that shitting grin off your face, because this one's a sad one.
It's real sad.
Yeah, lots gonna happen here. You're gonna have a lot of emotions, but also some good ones too. I think there's some good emotions in this one. It's not all doom and gloom. For example, someone wipes the shit-eating grin off of their face this week, and we're gonna love it. Anyway, so yeah.
How was everybody's week?
Did I talk about... I don't think... Oh, no. Because this happened last Monday, so it would have been after recording. I bought a fucking car.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's dope.
We are a two-car household again.
What kind of car?
It is a 2019 Kia Soul. It is mysterious blue color, which is...
Soul is a good car. That's a good fucking car. I haven't seen the 2019 model.
Yeah, it's got all the features I like air conditioning and seats. Yeah, it's got a rear camera, which is really nice. Apparently, it also has heated seats and ventilated seats, which I don't know how to work those. But there was a manual. Like the loan officer called me and was like, "Does your car have all of these features that I'm going to list off and you've never heard of before in your whole entire fucking life?" I'm like, I don't know, but I bet something in my car knows. So I went out to my car and I found it's like a little booklet of features. Mm-hmm. And yeah, apparently it's got heated and ventilated seats. So I need to figure out how those work because that sounds fucking incredible.
Whenever I'm in a car with heated seats, I'm like, if I get in a car that has heated seats, I'm like, who the fuck's car is this? Elon Musk? Like to me, heated seats are like the bougiest thing that can possibly exist. Even though like nowadays every car has one, and the Soul is not at all a bougie car. But like to me, that's like, I'm like, this is rich people shit, you know?
We paid like $13,000. No, $14,000 for this car.
Nice.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I paid like
And yeah, it's got Apple CarPlay.
$15.7 for mine, and I don't even have heated seats.
I paid a lot less than that for mine. I actually forget how much, but it also is a piece of shit.
Hertz is going bankrupt, so apparently now is the time to buy a car from them.
Oh, look at that. Nice. Also, I'm looking at this model. Eli, this is you in car form. It's just the car. It just is. It's just you in car form.
Well,
the 2019 Soul. It's just a nice, responsible looking car.
I don't know who you think I am. Responsible. I'm not sure that's me. Thank you. I'll take the compliment. Yeah, it's really, really nice. I love it. And we don't have any payments due until the end of August, which is great.
Dope.
And also, my parents have canceled their plans to go to New Orleans at the end of July, beginning of August. Ken and I are still on the fence about it because my parents can buy guest passes for us to use their timeshare. So we're still debating it, but it's really going to depend on how the COVID situation's going by then.
Yeah, of course.
At the very least, I'm still going to take the time off because fuck it.
Yeah, have a fucking staycation.
We play lots of Final Fantasy because there will be a patch coming up soon anyway.
Oh, nice. God, I would kill for a vacation.
Patch.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than
Speaking of
that,
staycation.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of staycation, I managed to barely work at all this week and only had to use 2 days of PTO, which was great. But so the worst thing about IT Freedom, because I love IT Freedom, I'm just going to throw them under the bus for a little bit, is they don't pay out PTO at the end.
Blows.
But being a small company, everybody knows that they don't do that. So when you're like, hey, I'm going to be leaving at the end of August, they're like, okay, cool. You're basically going to take like a day off every week until gets here so that you burn up your PTO. And we're all okay with that.
Right, like that's just an accepted thing. Nice.
And so I was burning up my PTO this week. So I took Monday and Tuesday off. So I had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I worked Wednesday, Thursday. We had the 3rd off for the 4th, and then I had Saturday, Sunday. So I basically forgot everything about my job existing whatsoever because I only worked 2 days last week.
My week is pretty uneventful, honestly. I did some grilling for the 4th of July, which is nice. Pretty lucky, obviously, because of the whole COVID thing, but it was still fun to grill some dogs. What else? I feel like a lot's happening, but like maybe not. Maybe it's more just a lot feels like it's happening because of like emotions or something. Yeah, I don't know. I could use some time off. That'd be awesome. But alas, I do think that if I am still on the job hunt, and if I were to get, that's right, I'm in the middle of applying for a part-time job that I would be able to pretty easily do in addition to my existing job for a while. And I'm pretty excited about it. It doesn't pay amazing. It doesn't pay as well as my current job, which also doesn't pay amazing. But given that it wouldn't be a ton of hours a week, like I'm thinking about how my life would be working both of these jobs and like just how busy I would be and how much money I'd be making. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I'd be making pretty good change and I'd be pretty busy, but I don't think it would kill me. So, fingers crossed that I get that. The first interview went well. I'm proceeding through the next sort of phase starting Tuesday. That's tomorrow, I suppose. So tomorrow then. And yeah, I think like in another week or, you never how job application processes go, but I'm pretty sure that the timeline is that I'll probably know by like the middle of next week or something. So like two more episodes, like after 2 more episodes, you'll know maybe if I got it or not. I did find out 1 or 2 reasons why I might not want to take it. And by find out, I mean I found this out earlier today. I'm not going to go into what it is for, reasons. So there's a chance I might get like offered the job and then not accept it. But probably not, because I have no ethical standards and need money. No, it's not. It's not really an unethical thing. That would be a different problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's pretty good. That's it. That's it for me. Oh wait, we gotta talk about the next game that we're playing.
Yes. Well, no, we're not announcing it yet. At least there still is.
Well, yeah, but talk about the vote.
Episode. Yeah. So right now, Chrono Cross is winning by a landslide. So if there are 3 of you out there that want to donate at least $1 United States to
It's a
make us
tiny
play
landslide, but it's still a landslide nonetheless. It's like a
for our for our like 7 voting patrons, it is a landslide. As in, it is currently mathematically impossible for Final Fantasy X2 to win, based off of our recurring monthly donations. But if you want to come do a one-off donation and vote for Final Fantasy X2, you definitely can. And
please
we would
donate
love
to
play that one.
donate to the Get Eli a Vita fund.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that
Definitely.
tomorrow.
Yeah, if
Because I have
you
a car
do,
now.
that opens up weird shit like Atelier that we could find some way to fucking play, and
Yeah.
weird Gust games and all that cool jazz that it's on the Vita.
That'd be dope.
But yeah, you also can play Danganronpa 2 and Danganronpa 3 and Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. So
Will
just
they
saying,
have
Vita's
more
pretty great.
makes the Tran angry moments?
0.
Oh, excellent. All right, maybe I will play.
Yeah, there is one character in Danganronpa 2 that I thought was going to be more trans rage, and it seemed aimed in that direction, and I thought I saw what they were doing there, because in your handbook it lists everybody's names in order, and it's the men first and then the women second, and this person was right in the middle. So I'm like, I see what you're doing. There's going to be a switch, and you're going to find out that this person's on the other side. No, they just draw this person like they're like extra feminine, and it's just a dude.
I have no idea who you're even talking about, which should say something.
The ultimate Yakuza is who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, that guy's dope. Funny enough, the former reason to buy a Vita is now on Steam. Persona 4 Golden. Ironically enough, notably queer positive game, Persona 4.
Woo! That's a good thing.
And Eli, the best part is, not only does Persona 4 have trans rage, it has trans man rage, which is almost never the sort of trans.
It's very unique.
Yeah.
To see in Japanese. So it's
pretty awesome.
They're really pushing boundaries. Yeah, they're really pushing the boundaries of being problematic. I respect them. They're making up new ways.
Yeah, so if you want us to play Final Fantasy X-2, you can hop over to the Ko-Fi and throw down some donations. Or if that scares you because you really want us to play Chrono Cross, you can go and make that landslide even landslidier and vote for Chrono Cross. But we will decide that on Monday. I don't know when this episode's going up, but you'll probably hear it and be like, well, crap, that's tomorrow, because I didn't edit any of the episodes from last week. Moving is hard, especially across country, so I haven't done shit. But let's listen to some Danganronpa music. No idea what music is left in this game. The music is great, but there's like 11 tracks, and I use 2 a week, so I'm running low. And we will then talk about the plot.
if you recall, last week we had a really good time where we didn't have any emotions at all because a character killed another character that we didn't really like anyway, and then also died, and we were like, okay, sure. So, at the beginning of this chapter, Makoto, our hero, is laying in bed recounting the tragedies thus far. So, first, Leon killed Sayaka and got executed. Monokuma just outright killed Junko, if you forgot that character already, which you probably did. Mondo killed Chihiro and got executed. Finally, Hifumi killed Taka, and then Celeste killed Hifumi and got executed. So, the group, which had previously been 15, is now down to a measly... It's actually 8. I wrote 7 here. It is 8. So, we got the morning breakfast. Only 5 are there because Toko and Byakuya are still absent as usual. Makoto's acting a little weird because of what he just saw last week about Sakura. Basically, he learned that Sakura is probably a traitor and is secretly consorting with the villain. But he successfully hides it, except perhaps from the ever perceptive Kyoko. Despite acknowledging the lonesomeness of the small group and general unease, the group actually is in reasonably good spirits. The hero says there won't be any more murders. I saw it in a vision. Then we have a fucking stupid scene that people can talk about later in their memorable moments if they want regarding Hero. They all promise that they won't kill each other. And instead of it being all like, I don't know, feeling like fake confidence, it really seems reasonable here. They're like, yeah, we've been here a while. We are friends. We're not going to kill each other. They're all feeling very comradely, though they are upset that Toko and Byakuya are still rogue. So this is chapter 4 called All-Star Apologies. Time to explore. Turns out this school has a 4th floor. It's weird. The ground is like a grate with piping and stuff. It doesn't matter. It just looks cool. This floor has a lot of locked rooms, much to our chagrin. There's a data lab. The door is locked. There is a headmaster's room, which is obviously locked. There's a music room. Holy shit, it's like an entire concert hall on the 4th floor. Actually, that's not that weird. I've been in a large concert hall that was on the 6th floor of a building recently. Anyway, we have a conversation with Kyoko. She says, hey, ... did you do the thing we talked about last night? We tell her we did. We say, yeah, we went and checked out the secret room. A Mysterioso attacked us and cleared the room out. And she says, yeah, I kind of figured that would happen. We're like, what the fuck? You just sent us to go get attacked. And she's like, you're fine, aren't you? We're like, okay. If the mastermind cares that much, then the room must have had some kind of major clue to their identity. We ask about the special note we found, the note that says, you must not leave. Kyoko says, I can't talk about that right now. Then she says, spit it out. I know you're hiding something, Makoto. We're reluctant, but she uses our own words from yesterday about friendship and how friends should trust each other. She uses our own words against us. So we tell her, oh,
sure.
It turns out that this is a but thou mustn't. This is a reverse but thou must. She's like, spit it out. And if we tell her, you're like, actually, no, I can't tell her. So you don't tell her. And Makoto says to himself, I don't have conclusive evidence. It wouldn't be good friend vibes to tell her yet and cause her to cast aspersions. She's upset, like very upset, but like she's like, I understand what you mean. I get it. But also like,
she's
fuck
that
you.
Soothing, quiet kind of upset.
Yeah, because she's like, I can't believe you don't trust me after the whole thing we did about friends trusting each other, right? Anyway, you go to the room that's just called office, I guess, whatever. That's what I wrote. It doesn't become important.
Teacher's lounge office.
Maybe it's a teacher's lounge. Anyway,
the design of it looks like a Japanese teacher's lounge.
Gotcha. You go there one time and don't return, so I forgot what its deal was. There's another mysterious picture on the floor. Aw, Celeste is bullying Hifumi, and Sayaka is in the background laughing at them. Again, there's no metal on the windows. Monokuma shows up and takes it and teases you again. Though this time he does flat out say, the picture is real. Chem Lab. Hina and Sakura are both in here freaking out. They got all the best vitamins and supplements. Hooray! They also have all kinds of poisons.
Hooray!
Hooray! Back to the dining hall. Kyoko is mad at us. She just says ... every time I talk to her. And Hina is mad at us for making Kyoko mad at us. Huh?
I just thought of a stupid joke like 30 seconds too late. So forget that I said it too late. But all of the poisons are on shelf C for Chekhov.
That's pretty funny.
Yes.
Oh shit, Hina tells us in addition to all the good shit, this is where we learn love is full of poisons, sorry. But luckily the poisons were all clearly labeled. Hiro says Sakura should knock down the doors of the headmaster's room, but Monokuma says, hey, that's my room. And he adds a new rule. You can't do that. No breaking down locked rooms. Makoto shares about the second picture he found. Once again, people don't believe him, but he says Monokuma said it's real, and is like, yeah, we know he could be lying, but like, what if he's not? And Kyoko's like, oh, so that's how it is. You trust Monokuma over your dead friends. Wow, I thought friends believed in each other. Everyone's like, all right, what's going on there? Byakuya shows up and is a jerk, as usual. He says, I don't care what y'all are on about. And if I found a vital clue, I definitely wouldn't tell y'all. But he does say he was taking a bath. We go all to see what's up with Alter Ego. Toko is there, blocking our access to Alter Ego. Apparently, Byakuya ordered her to. There's a stupid scene. Don't worry about it. Eventually, we get through. And Alter Ego says she finally cracked the files. Kyoko takes over. Obs. She summarizes. Apparently, a, quote, certain plan had been put into effect at Hope's Peak to isolate the students of Hope's Peak and create a communal life for them. The ones who came up with the plan? The administrators of the school themselves. The reason is because of, quote, what happened 1 year ago. So now we learn what happened 1 year ago. Kind of. It's something referred to as only, quote, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Also called just the tragedy, for short. Because of the tragedy,
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl 2.0. Because of the tragedy, Hope's Peak had to shut down as a school. But apparently they decided to use the school for some kind of fucked up experiment? Unfortunately, Alter Ego says she has no info on what the tragedy was. If there ever was info like that on the computer, it is gone now. Everyone's disappointed for having gotten so little. But wait, she has one more piece of info for us. She found a clue to the mastermind's identity. The one who headed up the Hope's Peak plan. What's the headmaster? It's a man in his late 30s, and he may be somewhere in the school still. Kyoko is so fucking pissed. She says, I swear no matter what, I will find the headmaster and I will have his ass. Alter Ego does not have any more info, but she does have a question. She says, I haven't seen Celeste, Taka, or Hifumi since yesterday. Again, we tell her the truth. She takes it like a champ. We thank AE for doing her best, and she says she needs to rest, and she goes into sleep mode. She's been working really hard the last couple days. Kyoko says, well, she did her job. We don't really need to talk with her anymore. Makoto says, no, Alter Ego is our friend now, even though she's just a computer program. Everyone agrees that they now feel a bond with Alter Ego and that she's their friend. Kyoko's mad and says that she questions, quote, the ease with which you decide who is and isn't your friend. Yikes.
She's so mad.
She is a stone cold bitch in this episode, in this chapter, yeah. When they exit the bathhouse, Monokuma shows up and says he's mad as hell and he's not going to take it anymore. But he doesn't specify what he's mad about. He says, whatever you do to me, I'll do to you. Eye for an eye style. The next day, Toko has shown up to breakfast. Neat! Oh, it's because Byakuya insulted her for being too skinny, so she's going to eat more. Oh, okay. Kyoko says she's not here. Wait, sorry, what? Oh, Kyoko is not here, and she has told the group that she won't come until Makoto leaves. Jeez. Hina thinks that Kyoko is mad because she and Makoto like each other, and he's dragging his feet, which I find very funny. Hina's like, come on, Makoto, make a move already. Toko starts being extremely horny at Hina, like really horny at Hina. Hina is not remotely into it. We realize that we can't make up with Kyoko until we talk to Sakura about what we saw. We asked Sakura to talk. She says we can talk, but tomorrow. Free time. Basically, I could only hang with Hina. I wasn't going to hang with people that y'all already finished hanging out with because y'all had already shared what happens. So I didn't hang out with Sakura. The only other two options for me... Oh, and you can't hang out with Kyoko even though I really wanted to because she's giving me the cold shoulder. The only other options were Byakuya and Toko, and like hell am I going to even talk with either of them. Actually, in retrospect, I could see talking with Toko, but I'm not talking to Byakuya. So I hung out with Hina, even though I already know all of her stuff because she's my favorite character and I hung with her last time. Say la vie. Oh no, Monokuma asked us to the gym again, of course. Monokuma says, nah, no motive this time. I'm here to deal with my grudge. Oh Christ. He just straight up says, hey guys, guess what? Despise Sakura. He also says, I might make Sakura fulfill the promise she made sometime soon. If she doesn't, I can't be responsible for what happens to my hostage. Well, bye. Everyone is really, really shocked. Hina, of course, especially can't believe it. She can't believe that Sakura could do such a thing. Sakura admits it. She says, I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier. Hina is so fucking fucked up over this. She says Sakura must have been forced to do it. Makoto agrees and says what he saw. Makoto, you then share what you saw with everybody. You tell everyone that we saw Sakura say that she was going to fight against the mastermind. Now this next part's really important. Makoto and Hina think that they can trust her now. They're like, look, Makoto saw her fight the mastermind and fight Monokuma and say she wasn't going to be his pawn anymore. We can trust her now. Byakuya and Toko and Hiro say she can't possibly be trusted. Byakuya says, hey, if you're on our side, then tell us who the mastermind is. But Sakura says she doesn't know. Byakuya says, what was the promise you made? She says, to kill one of you. Sakura asks Hina to stop defending her and says she has to take responsibility by destroying the mastermind. Even if they both die, she will defeat them. Sakura explicitly apologizes to Hina. She says that she thought about telling her so many times, but she was scared that Hina would think less of her. The nighttime announcement is made. Everybody is pretty heated, but Kyoko says, Kyoko also basically trusts Sakura. It's not made as explicit, but it's basically Kyoko, Makoto, and Sakura Kyoko, Makoto, and Hina who are being trustworthy, and Toko, Byakuya, and Hiro who are not trustworthy at all. So anyway, they all go to bed. Makoto is determined to get everyone to believe in Sakura. Next morning, very heavy atmosphere. Breakfast. Everyone's here? Even Byakuya and Toko? They're all like, we gotta hide out here together to be safe from Sakura, who is not here. They all argue. Kyoko says, let's look at the big picture and ask why the Mastermind revealed this to us. It's actually the motive. He wanted us to be bickering like this. Hiro says, if Sakura really attacks the Mastermind, then I'd trust her. Hina says, what if she dies? Byakuya says, well, that would solve the whole problem. Hina slaps him upside his head. And then Hina says, Byakuya should have been one of the ones who died, which is a pretty intense thing for her to say. From this point until the end of the chapter, Hina is very, very...
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong. Hina is very, very emotionally intense for the remainder of this chapter. She's going through it, obviously, because throughout this whole game, one of the big check-off guns of this game is Hina and Sakura have developed a very, very close friendship. Anyway, she says she should have died. Byakuya says, fine, fucking do it then. Hina says, I fucking can. And then she storms out. We all go back to our rooms. Free time. Empty day. Everyone's in a terrible mood. The next morning, Makoto's like, we cannot let shit go on like this. I gotta get to the dining hall and talk to everyone. We hear a scream from the dining hall. Fuck! Hina and Genocide Jill got into a fight, and Hina is injured. We tell Jill to fuck right off, and we take Hina to the nurse's room. Hina confesses that she actually attacked first. Jill was being super mean, and she just couldn't handle it anymore. The door bursts open. It's Sakura. Hiro says that Jill hurt Hina, and Sakura flies into a rage. She says, look, if you want to hurt me, then do it, but hurting Hina is unforgivable. The tension builds, and then Kyoko shows up. Makoto says, Kyoko, you gotta stop Sakura, which I think is a little mean. But Sakura says, no, I'm fine. She calms down. She says, I'm drawing a line right now, which we don't know what that means. She leaves Makoto and Kyoko in the room together. We try to talk to Kyoko. She dots us. But then she does answer back. She says she understands why we didn't tell her, but she is hurt you didn't trust her. But also she forgives you and it's fine, and maybe she...
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
And maybe she overreacted a little. And I'm like, yeah, a little. Yeah. Being angry, I can definitely understand, but also she definitely was. It was a bit much. She says, "Come with me. I have to talk to you about something else." That something else is Alter Ego. Apparently, Alter Ego asked Kyoko to bring the others to her, and she has something to ask us. She says, "I want you to take me somewhere I can connect to the school network." She says my job was done, but I want to work as hard as everyone else and help everybody. So I need to access the school's network. We realize this is essentially suicide. But themes. Anyway, she's committed. She is very strong. Kyoko says there's no doubt that AE is our friend. We say, let's do it. We do trade lives. Fuck the MCU. Kyoko says there was an Ethernet port, because that's reasonable, goddammit. Anyway, Kyoko says that there was an Ethernet port in the secret room with no camera. Maybe we can do it safely if we get lucky. We go up there, and Kyoko makes a scene as a way of hiding what we're really up to. I won't explain it. She just makes a scene and distracts Monokuma. You go in there. You find a cable, and it all seems to work. We plug her in. AE thanks us for letting her help, and we tell her we're all going to get out of here and that she's our friend. So, in the middle of this barren room, in plain sight, in huge danger, we just leave her. Frankly, I think they should have left her in a corner at least. She's in the middle of the room on a table, but whatever. She's in danger is the point. Kyoko says, "Okay, we should."
There's a desk there with drawers she could go in. There's
I mean, I know that you would probably have to configure it a little bit and make sure that when you close the lid of the lap, it doesn't go into sleep mode. But come on, it wouldn't be that hard. Anyway, Kyoko says,
"Oh, they're dumb kid." Dangers.
That's true. Yeah. They are probably very nervous.
Best smart kids.
Well, Makoto isn't.
Yeah.
Makoto's just some guy. Anyway, Kyoko says that we should part, but before we do, Makoto asks what we should do about Sakura. She says, "Look, no one's going to listen to each other right now, but maybe if we find a new clue, it'll help. All we can do is wait and believe in our friends." Makoto is tired and passes out in his room.
Well, that was a mistake.
Yes. Makoto is making...
anyone who thinks Toko and Byakuya are their friends is just super, in denial or really dumb about friendship.
Kyoko said... Makoto is tired and passes out in his room. Doorbell. It's Kyoko. She says, "Get out here right now." It looks serious. Hina just came to see her, white as a ghost. Something has happened. Hina said, "Come to the rec room." The door won't open. Inside, we see through the window in the door. It's Sakura. She's not moving. But she is sitting up, head bowed, as if in prayer. We can't tell if she's alive. Hina says she was walking by and she saw Sakura in there, and she tried banging on the door and calling her name, but no response. Kyoko says, the door isn't locked. Something is just blocking it. The rule says we can't break into a locked door. So if we bash this in, we wouldn't be breaking a rule. So Hina leaves to go get something to break the window. We wait in pained silence. She returns to the broom. Makoto takes it and easily shatters the window, making the bluish glass, of course, go inside the room. We reach through and remove the chair that is jammed up against the doorknob. The door opens. Makoto rushes in. Makoto and Kyoko both rush in, and Hina stays behind. As soon as he touches her, he knows that she's gone. Ding dong! Body discovery. Hina is in shock. She hasn't processed it yet. She's already been having a bad day, and now it's a significantly worse day. She leaves to go and get the others. As usual, Kyoko gets to work. She just immediately gets into detective mode. Everyone else arrives. Hina starts to snap out of her shock and becomes enraged. She knows that Hina, Byakuya, or Toko did it and vows revenge. Monokuma shows up to give us the Monokuma file. Makoto accuses Monokuma of killing her. He says, nope. He then says, thank goodness, it was going to be really tough to have to fight her. I was actually kind of worried. Hina volunteers to guard the body, and Byakuya orders Kyoko in his asshole-ish way to co-guard, and she just goes along with it. I guess she doesn't feel like arguing with him because he's more annoying to argue with. Before the investigation begins, though, Hina says Hiro and Byakuya and Toko are not allowed into the room. She says, fuck all of you to hell. I am not letting you near her body. I know one of you did it. You're not stepping foot into this room. Byakuya is like, girl, we need to investigate. Like, come on. What if you just let me in, but not the others? Kyoko asks Hina to compromise. She does, but says you still don't get to touch Sakura. All right, so this is an interesting chapter. There's not a lot of evidence. Most of the evidence is a series of characters' testimonies. So first I'm going to go through plot scenes, then I'm going to go through the testimonies, then I'm going to go, which the scenes are testimonies, they become truth bullets, and then I'm going to go through the actual evidence. So, first, Kyoko pulls us aside and explains that the only entrance into the rec room is the one door, and it was blocked by the chair from the inside. Therefore, the killer would have had to exit the room after blocking it, which seems impossible. Thus, we have the classic locked room mystery. Many mystery stories have used this format before. It is a classic. She says she knows all about these. She really seems to know a lot about mystery-related shit. Anyway, she explains that there's 4 categories. Number 1. The locked room is created after the crime is committed. Usually involves a trick regarding the locking of the room, like there's a string or something to lock the room after the person leaves. 2, the locked room already exists before the crime is committed. The killer uses some kind of contraption to kill the victim without entering, like they managed to shoot a dart through the window or something. That doesn't seem very likely here. 3, the killer stays in the room until it's opened up. Like, they're in there the whole time, and they pretend they showed up with the rest of the group. They're like, oh, wow, yeah, I just got here. Wow, murder, fucked up. I wasn't just in that closet. That also, that could be a possibility. 4, it wasn't a locked room at all, aka there's an alternate escape route. Does not seem very realistic. It doesn't really happen in real life very much. So it's either 1, which is that the room is created somehow after they leave the room, or 3, where the killer's in the room all along. Kyoko does not know which of these it is, but she does fill us in on that. Next, we talk to Hina. Hina says the reason that she's so sure that one of these 3 assholes did it is because Sakura asked all 3 of them to meet with her right here in the rec room. Hina, also, just as a reminder, this is the same day as the stuff this morning, when Hina and Toko got into a fight, and then Hina was injured, and then Sakura got mad. That all happened this morning. Anyway, Hina and Sakura left the nurse's office in the morning, but then later they split up. Later, Sakura told Hina that she'd left each of them a note, asking them to meet her in the rec room by noon. Hina tried to... Oh, I should clarify that. Sorry, the Monokuma file says that the victim is Sakura. She died around noon. The body was discovered in the rec room on the 3rd floor. Evidence of a strong blow to the head at some point. No other injuries. Also, at one point, the victim suffered from a violent vomiting of blood. The rest of that will become more clear later, but she died around noon. So anyway, Sakura asked them all to meet her in the rec room by noon. Hina tried to stop her, but she said that she just wanted to talk to them. So we talked to the 3 of them to interrogate them. Byakuya says, I got the note from Sakura, but only a fucking idiot would have met with her, so I ripped the note up into pieces and threw it away, and I haven't seen Sakura all day. So that's it for Byakuya. Toko says, I didn't go to see her. She has different reasoning, but she says, I didn't go to see her. At this point, she's Toko, not Genocide Jack. We talked to Hiro. Hiro very obviously met with Sakura, and the whole scene is him very badly lying and trying to hide it. It's stupid. Don't worry about it. He very clearly is lying. The other two, like, we assume they're lying because we know how stories work, but Hiro is, like, in that scene, like, being a fucking idiot.
He's such a moron.
He's such a moron. A candy wrapper fell out of his pocket, which you'll see once I read the evidence is evidence. So those are the characters' testimonies. We'll learn more about them as we go, believe me. So here's the evidence. First, we got the Monokuma file, strong blow to the head, vomiting of blood. In the rec room, on the ground near the door, is a protein drink, a can of protein drink with the label Kim A-2. It's near the door, but there's broken glass. The broken glass is under it, not on top of it, which right off the bat we're like, that's weird. The broken glass would have fallen on top of anything in the room. There's a candy wrapper on the ground. Hina tells us that after Sakura and Hina left the nurse's office in the morning, Hina gave her a candy to help her calm down. These candies were in the warehouse, and Hina actually stole the entire candy box like a week ago because she really likes the candies and she didn't want anybody else to have them. So basically the only way Sakura could have gotten the candy was from Hina, and the only way that Hiro could have gotten the candy he had was from Sakura. So see, that's why we know he's lying, aside from him being a dipshit. And his story not checking out on any level. There's also a broken bottle on the floor near Sakura. It's a shattered red glass bottle. Also nearby is a little weird figurine thingy of Monokuma, a Monokuma figurine. It's like a little, not Cyrillic, it's like a little what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever you... Ceramic, yes. I was like, acrylic.
Cyrillic is the Russian.
Yes, it is. So anyway, it's a little ceramic Monokuma holding a chess piece. If we are paying attention, we'll notice it's a, what is it, a knight? Whatever. It's not.
Yes, that one is a knight.
It's not a queen. Is the point? That's the only. That's all I remember. Is it's not a queen, which is important. Next evidence: Monokuma bottles. On the shelf behind Sakura is a bunch of Monokuma bottles. It's like a ship in a bottle, but instead of a ship in a bottle, it's a Monokuma. So this is clearly the thing we see shattered on the floor. There must have been a bunch of Monokuma bottles, and one of them was used to attack Sakura. Next is Sakura's body. She died, slumped in this seat. There's a little trail of blood coming out of her mouth. Magazine shelf bloodstain. In front of the magazine rack, which is like way far from where she died, there's a real big puddle of blood. Locker handprint. There's a big locker with big enough for someone to hide inside, is wide open. Though it's very dusty, the inside has a big old handprint. So we're like, oh, the killer hid, like you said, with the locked room. But Kyoko says, no. Earlier when we looked through the window before we broke in, the locker was open. We could see the locker was open, so the killer couldn't have been hiding in there. Doesn't seem like that's what happened. The rec room door. There's nothing sus about the door. It hasn't been tampered with. It really seems like the person must have blocked the door with the chair, normal style, from the inside the room. No evidence to the contrary. So because the locker was open, it couldn't have been the person hides inside the room, locked room mystery. But because we don't find any evidence of any kind of mechanism, it couldn't have been the they locked the door somehow after leaving it locked room story. So, who fucking knows? Later, there's a second scene where Kyoko says, hey, please investigate again. I found some more shit. So that magazine rack I mentioned, one of the magazines is just upside down, which is sus. So we pull that magazine out, and inside is written in blood, Toko. So that was easy. Probably a red herring, though. This is the third time there's been an incriminating bloody message on the wall, and only the first time was it actually good evidence. The other times it was a nasty trick. Anyway, Kyoko also tells us some more stuff she examined from Sakura. 1. Sakura has some yellow powder on her shoe. 2. Sakura actually suffered 2 blows to the head, not 1. It's just hard to tell because they're close together. 3. There's no blood at all on her hands. Monokuma bottles. Kyoko says there's something about these bottles, but doesn't spell it out for you. She said, but I'll just tell you, it's that the chess pieces inside are all different. Also, we do this thing called the Monokuma bottle experiment. She gets a scale. She says, hey, put a Monokuma bottle on one end of the scale. We do so. She says, okay, let's gather up all of the broken pieces on the ground, plus the little figurine, and put them on the other side of the scale. We put it on there, thinking it's either going to weigh the same or maybe less if we didn't get all the pieces properly. It weighs more. It weighs more than one bottle worth of bottle. The conclusion is relatively obvious, I think. Finally, only a little bit more. We go to the chem lab. The chem lab, because there's a weird powder on the floor, and we can understand a Chekhov gum when we see it. We go to a chem lab, and there's a bunch of yellow powder on the floor. Nearby is a bottle where the powder clearly came out of. The bottle's labeled C-4. It's been spilled in front of this big cabinet. Byakuya testifies he was here in the morning, and it wasn't spilled. Footprints. There are footprints going to and away from the cabinet, clearly visible in the yellow powder. Though here's the thing. The bottle came from cabinet C. The footprints are clearly going to and away from cabinet A on the other side. Again, it's a very big cabinet. You couldn't stand on one end and reach to the other end. So these footprints are showing someone going only to cabinet A. Finally, on the chem lab shelf. Shelf A has protein supplements and other health stuff. Shelf B has boring chemistry shit that, spoiler, isn't relevant. And Shelf C has poisons. But the poison labeled C-9 is on Shelf A. All right, that is it. So we got something about poison, something about bottles smashing in people's heads, and a bunch of testimonies about 3 potential culprits visiting Sakura and a locked door. Also, the final question, how the heck could anybody beat the ultimate martial arts expert? If you tried to kill her, wouldn't she just annihilate you? Whatever.
Yeah.
So at this...
you limb from limb?
So at this point, Monokuma goes ahead and calls the trial. Makoto feels like they're not ready. He's just like, all right, I'm bored. Let's fucking do it. And they're like, shit. So there is now another elevator descent. There are now only 7 people, which is not a lot. The elevator gets smaller and smaller each time. All right, we're now starting the trial, and we are at 56, although not actually. It's less than that because of the part where Sam left. Cool. So we start the trial. Hina takes control. Like every chapter, one character kind of takes the lead because they have some reason to, right? This time around, Hina takes the lead, saying, because she's fucking pissed, and she said it had to be Toko, Byakuya. Wait, no, I wrote Toko twice. It had to be Hiro, Byakuya, or Toko. So we interrogate that concept and bring up the notes Sakura sent them. They all deny meeting with her, but we bring up the candy wrapper, and we basically easily prove that Hiro's full of shit. He does the whole oh, that's right, we did meet in the rec room. I forgot. I'm like... Fuck off. He says, although unlike Phoenix Wright, this is not a real courtroom. It is a twisted game made by a villain, so we don't have to worry about whether what he did would be allowed in a courtroom. So he says that all they did was talk, and he says Toko did it. He says Toko did it because of Sakura's shining message. What? How did... Oh, so we're surprised that Hiro even knew about the dying message in the magazine.
Now... I had something I thought of when this came up.
Uh-huh.
They're all surprised that Hiro knew. Hiro is supposed to be the ultimate clairvoyant, right?
Uh-huh.
Couldn't he have just said he saw that this happened in the future and lied his way out of it that way?
That's true. Although maybe he's too stupid for that.
He is really dumb. Yeah.
Or maybe they wouldn't have believed him. Maybe they would have been like, fuck off.
Yeah, he's both too stupid to do it, and also he is the ultimate clairvoyant, but psychics are still fake. Because
well, yeah,
all of his dates, he's a fake psychic.
I went on a few dates with him this week, and I remember what you had said last time, and he's more like the ultimate scam artist.
Yeah.
So he's not even ultimate at that.
No. Oh yeah, I actually went on one or two with him as well because no one else was available. So anyway, we immediately go through this. We're like, wait a second, dude. Hina banned you from entering the crime scene. There's no way you would have seen it because it was up on the shelf where you couldn't see it. So there's no way you would have known. So how the fuck did you know? And he goes, who cares when I saw it? Sakura obviously wrote it, which proves that Togo's the killer. We proved that Sakura didn't write it. I did not figure this part out. I thought this was rather clever. It's because her hands were clean. As Kyoko told us earlier, Sakura had no blood on her hands. Obviously, she couldn't have written a message in blood without using her hands. Kyoko says maybe Hiro wrote it himself. Hiro then immediately admits it. He caves. He says, fine, I fucking wrote it. I killed her. So now we get Hiro's story. Again, this is it's a very like Rashomon kind of thing. So Hiro gives us a more detailed version of his story. Mm-hmm. He got the note, and he did as it asked. But when he got to the room, Sakura said, would you mind waiting? I've asked other people to meet as well. Then she says, here, have a candy. They wait around awkwardly. At one point, he hears Sakura muttering, I'm going to end it today. I'm going to do it. Hiro thought she was going to kill him, so he freaks out and grabs the Monokuma bottle and smashes her in the back of the head. She goes limp and doesn't move. He realizes he needs to cover his tracks, so he very quickly writes Toko's name on the magazine and fucking bails. Well, that was a quick trial. But no, of course, Kyoko is like, something doesn't add up. Why would Hiro hide the magazine? Which, again, very smart deduction, IMO, from her. Why would you frame someone up and then hide it? Hiro says, I didn't hide it. I just left it on the table. Bakula says, this proves that someone else came into the room afterward. If that person hid the Toko magazine, it must have been Toko. So now Toko is the one under pressure. We say Hiro may have attacked Sakura, but that doesn't mean she died. We go through Hiro's testimony one more time. He only hit her once, but her wound showed 2 hits. She was hit twice, each time by the Monokuma bottle. We prove this pretty easily. Here's the thing. So there were 2 bottles worth of glass on the ground. We just didn't think of that because obviously if you see there's not a bottle and there's glass on the ground, you think a bottle broke. You don't think 2 bottles broke. There was only 1 Monokuma figure chess piece. So since the glass is heavy, we know it was 2 bottles. They must have just thrown away the other piece. So clearly the killer must have removed the evidence for 1 bottle, which was while trying to leave the other. At some point after Hiro's attack, a second person came into the room, attacked Sakura, cleaned up their evidence, and removed the fake Toko message. Therefore, it must have been Toko. Hiro also says, I have more evidence proving that Toko did it. Apparently, he was nervous, so he went to the rec room early to scope it out from the hallway. When he does that, he sees Toko go in there. Then Sakura goes in after. In fact, since he figured Toko was in there, that's why he felt comfortable going in. He's like, oh, Toko's in there. It'll be me and Toko and Sakura. But when he got in there, no Toko. He says he forgot because he was so shocked that he thought he'd kill someone, which actually makes a lot of sense. I'll give him that one. We prove that Toko was hiding in the locker on account of the handprint. We say, let's see your hand, bitch. But then she admits it. She says, yeah, I probably killed her. So here's Toko's story. After she got the note, she went to the rec room, but she was scared to face her head on, so she hid in the locker. She saw everything that just happened with Hiro. The freaking out, the murder, the frame up, she saw all of it. She hopped out of the locker and put the magazine back to hide the fake evidence. But then she heard a sound behind her. Sakura was awake and covered in blood and staring right at her. She fainted because of the blood, and she says, you're going to have to ask Genocide Jack for more info. So Genocide Jack arrives. Turns out they don't share memories, which is interesting. So Genocide Jack says, look, I was just chilling, sleeping, having a nap, and then all of a sudden I come awake and I see Sakura, bloody AF, leering over me. She gets scared and scrambles and smacks Sakura with a bottle. Normally, Sakura could have dodged the attack, but she I guess she must have been fucked up from Hiro's attack or something. That must have been why it was so easy to attack her. Still, something doesn't add up. Toko says she killed Sakura in front of the magazine rack, hence the enormous amount of blood over there. So how did she get from there over to the chair where she was found dead sitting in the chair? So that's confusing. Now, the obvious answer of Sakura was almost dead and she just walked over to the chair and then died is ignored. But there is a much bigger mystery. There's still a mystery we haven't solved. Like, okay, so Hiro thought he killed her, but he didn't. Then Toko killed her and then left. Okay, cool. But what about the locked door? We say, what if she didn't die from either attack? The Monokuma file said she vomited blood, and there was blood around her mouth. Byakuya states the obvious. Sakura was poisoned. He explains his deductions. So here's Byakuya's, not testimony, but his story. He found the bottle of poison C9 in Section A. This was earlier in the day. Earlier he was just in the room with all the poison. Just not ask why. He found the bottle of poison C9 in Section A, mixed in with all the nutritional stuff. The culprit must have switched it out. Right then and there, he fucking downs. Oh yeah, so he's in the courtroom and is holding the poison. And he's just like, hey, check this out. And then he just chugs the poison. Like that Turkish guy. I think he was the Turkish politician. No, maybe he was Kyrgyz politician. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Not at all.
Like a year or two ago, there was some very intense political stuff happening in some country. I forget which country it was. And one of the guys is like, what do you call a parliamentarian? Well, whatever. He's in the parliament, right? And they're arguing, and he gets so heated or upset about whatever has just happened, he fucking drinks poison and dies right there on live TV in the parliament.
Oh,
it was insane. Anyway, Bakula does that, but he's fine. It's a bit of a flex. So he gives it to Kyoko and says, there is just a harmless protein in this bottle. The C9 poison and the A2 poison were swapped. The killer must have switched them to get Sakura to drink the poison. All they had to do was hand it to her, but whom did it? Byakuya brings up the footprints in front of the shelf. But before he even has to say anything, before he even has to start making an accusation, Hina speaks up and says, it was me. I want to know what y'all's reaction was to this.
Up until this point, I was going, oh no, please don't let it be Hina, please. And I couldn't quite wrap my head around it because it was they were best friends and they trusted each other so much, and I didn't want Hina to be that underhanded and I couldn't see her being that way, and so it kind of freaks me out. Like I was saying earlier, there were a bunch of parts where I was going no, and this was one of them where I was please no.
Yeah, this case just twists the knife more and more with every revelation. You're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
At this point, you share, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I got to this point, I knew there was going to be another twist because of the evidence we're about to get with the footprints only lead to A. And so I knew that hadn't been addressed yet, which meant something was up here. And I then was out of people, and I had a big old question mark over what the fuck was happening, because I didn't predict the actual ending of the case. I just knew it probably wasn't Hina because it doesn't add up. But then we've gone through everybody else, so what the fuck?
Yeah. At this point, not only one thing that's funny about this game is that you can tell when there's going to be another twist because you haven't used up all the evidence yet. You're going to go over everything. So, it's there's still a couple of important pieces of evidence we haven't really discussed yet. Oh, I guess this is going to keep going for a while. not both the original time, and so even though I knew how it ended, I still thought maybe there was going to be a twist before we got to the end. So here's what I thought. Here's what I immediately thought at this point. I was like, oh my god, Hina poisoned Sakura. In just a second, you're going to see her testimony. Her testimony is that Sakura asked her to bring her a protein drink. So it's like, oh yeah, I poisoned her because she asked me to bring her a protein drink. But my thought was, wait, what if Hina accidentally killed her? Because Hina just went to the lab, grabbed a protein drink, and gave it to her, not knowing that, of course, the most awful character in the story, Byakuya, had previously, you know, when he said he was in the room earlier, maybe he fucking swapped out the poison for the protein earlier, assuming it would kill someone eventually, right?
Yeah, I had that thought too, was like, well, Byakuya already said he was in there, so maybe, like, Hina's saying she did it, but, you know, maybe it was actually Byakuya who switched shit out.
Yeah, so Hina's blaming herself, but doesn't realize the truth. Yeah, turns out that's not true either. I will go ahead and spoil it. Byakuya is innocent in this case, and in fact, not even involved a single bit. Very strange.
I was very disappointed that Byakuya was not involved.
He's
please, I want him to die.
Yeah, like the other two were lying when they said they didn't go. Byakuya just didn't go. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. That's stupid, and he didn't. And that's actually it. So anyway, Hina says it was me. The footprints are hers. Here's the thing, the footprints are made by sneakers. Hina and Makoto are the only people who wear sneakers. We can't believe it. How could it have been Hina? It makes no goddamn sense. What the fuck? Byakuya says only Hina could have done it because Sakura would have easily trusted anything Hina gave her to drink. Just twist that knife. Hina says that she found Sakura in the rec room. Sakura was hurt and asked Hina to bring her the protein drink from the lab. Sakura really did think the protein could help her heal. She believed that protein basically had like magical properties. When she went to the lab,
she's if you've seen Agretzko, she's the kangaroo who runs the yoga studio who just says protein. Yeah.
So Hina, although I mean, look at her. She clearly is doing something right. So anyway, Hina says that when she went up to the lab to go get the drink, the idea just occurred to her. This was her chance to kill her. Byakuya says, you know what? So Byakuya has done the usual thing he does where he's like, he knows all of this. Like at this point it becomes, earlier it was like annoying and like kind of contrived, but now it's just like, oh no, he's just like, he's as smart as Makoto and Kyoko are. He's able to do stuff just like you are, even though you're the main character. So he's like, yep, I knew it. She did it. And he says, not a person alive would sacrifice themselves for another. All this talk about how y'all are friends is bullshit. Nobody would sacrifice themselves for someone else, not even Hina for her quote-unquote friend. When the shit hits the fan, anybody would kill somebody else. Kyoko isn't...
way to live your life
by
that kind of philosophy. That's
it's so, the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
I just don't understand.
Kyoko isn't convinced. Not because of friendship or feelings, but hard evidence. How did Hina create the locked room? Hina evades the question. Here it becomes clear that even though she's literally confessing to murder, she also is somehow hiding something. Byakuya said she switched out the mixtures. She's the culprit. Makoto says, why would someone leave such a fucking obvious clue as enormous footprints in dust? You could easily just wipe them away or something. Hina here gets super nervous. She starts stammering and making shitty excuses to protect the fact that she did do it. We press her for her story. So here's Hina's story. She goes to the chem lab and goes to section C and gets the poison. She drops it like an idiot, making the big spill. Then she went over to section A and got the protein powder and switched them. Then she took the protein can with the poison and left the room. She accidentally put the poison bottle on the wrong shelf. She's lying. The footprints don't match up at all. The footprints clearly show she went from section A from the door. Hina was lying to us about poisoning Sakura. The bottles must have been switched earlier. Kyoko has some new evidence, which is extremely funny, actually. At this point, I really like this part because in the middle of all the misery and depression, at this point, Byakuya starts getting owned. Byakuya is completely
fantastic.
Byakuya is completely blindsided by this revelation. Because remember, up until this point, he knew everything that we did. So he's like, "What? No, Hina did it. How can you possibly know something that I don't?" I think he even says, "How can you possibly know something that I don't?" And Kyoko's like, "Fuck you, motherfucker. Earlier, when you flexed and chugged the poison just to be pompous and then gave me the bottle, you accidentally gave me new evidence." At the bottom of the bottle was a piece of broken glass. It's part of the rec room door window. How would a shard of glass from the window get inside the bottle of poison, which was in the lab at the time? Fuck! That proves that the bottle of poison was in the room when Sakura died, when they opened the room. But then afterwards, someone put it back and also planted the protein can in the room. At this point, I think it becomes relatively clear what has happened, and shit gets depressing. So how do we know this? She asks around. Did anybody trip over it or move it or whatever? Everyone says, nope. We clarify it's because it was on top of broken glass, not under it. It must have been placed after we got into the room. So to summarize, as long as the room was locked, there was only a poison bottle in there. After it opened up, they were switched. So that means that if the room was locked and only Sakura was in there and there was a poison bottle in there, Sakura drank the poison. Byakuya says, "Why did Sakura drink the poison? I thought we all agreed she was tricked into drinking it from the protein can." Well, she was alone in a locked room with a bottle of poison labeled poison. Sakura did it herself. She went into the chem lab. She went directly to Section C to get a poison. There was powder on her shoe. She must have spilled the poison while she was getting it. So at this point, we do what we do every week, which is we actually have to pick who the killer was. We point at the dead portrait, and the killer was Sakura. The reason we couldn't solve the mystery of the locked door was because Sakura did it. Sakura locked the door. The reason Hina called us up, the reason she was acting all weird, the reason she hung back when we and Kyoko investigated her best friend's dead body was because she immediately grabbed the poison bottle. And when she said she was going to get the other, she was actually going to the rec room to make the swap. She planted false evidence while everyone was distracted. Hina knew that Sakura had killed herself and messed up the entire thing, trying to blame Toko or Hiro or Byakuya, and when that failed, she tried to blame herself. Of course, at this point, we realize the implication. The characters don't discuss this until later, but we realize the implication, which is that Hina knew full well that if she succeeded in her goal, literally every single person was going to die. So we give the closing argument. Sakura gave notes to Toko, Hiro, and Byakuya, asking them to meet her in the rec room. Toko headed out first. She got there early. She hid in the locker. She was nervous. She saw Sakura enter the room and then Hiro. While they're waiting, she got spooked. And Hiro got spooked and thought Sakura was going to kill him and panicked. He grabbed a Monokuma bottle and smashed her. He thought he'd kill her, so he tried to frame Toko and took off. Toko comes out of the locker, puts away the magazine, but accidentally puts it upside down. Sakura wakes up and the blood makes her faint. When GJ wakes up, Sakura is standing over her, trying to help her, by the way. She panics, and she also hits Sakura with a bottle. She tries to cover up her murder, doesn't do a good job of it. Sakura at this point is still alive. She has asked two people
Sakura too strong for murder.
She has asked two people to come to this room and talk to her, and both of them tried to kill her. She pulls out the poison, which she already had with her the entire time. If there was any chance that she was going to change her mind, that chance has probably faded at this point. She blocks the door to close off the room and drinks the poison. But it's not over. Later, the rest of the group discovers the body. Hina already knew what had happened. Hina already knew that Sakura had killed herself, and she worked fast and determined, returning the poison to the chem lab, replacing it with the protein cam specifically to frame herself. And that's it. Sakura killed herself, and Hina tried to hide it, even though everyone would die. Byakuya is completely stunned. How could he not have figured this out himself? Kyoko says, because humans have emotions and don't do things for logical reasons, which you obviously couldn't understand And without understanding that, you couldn't solve this case. Fucking owned. Fuck Byakuya. We all vote. The killer was Sakura. We're right. Byakuya still doesn't understand. If Hina's deception had worked, literally all of us would have died, including her. She says, that's what I wanted. All of us were complicit in killing her, even me. We get a flashback. Earlier, after Hina and Sakura had left the nurse's room, Sakura says it was her fault Hina got hurt. In fact, it's her fault all of this happened. By spying for the mastermind, she's complicit in everyone's suffering, and she needs to atone. But she wants forgiveness, which is why she invited the three to the rec room. Hina doesn't understand why. Sakura says even those three are her friends. Sakura tried to apologize and atone, but one of the three people she asked to the rec room, Byakuya, never showed. And the other two both tried to murder her. After both of those, Hina arrived. Sakura said she loved Hina and asked her to go get her a protein drink. Hina went up to get it, saw the powder, and immediately understood. She rushed back down, but it was too late. Hina says Sakura had weakness just like everyone else. When she was backed into a corner, she did the only thing she could think of, and she must have died in complete despair. At some point, I think perhaps later, or perhaps right around then, Hina found the suicide note from Sakura. The note says, quote, "Such brutality has made me desperate, so instead of waiting to be killed, I'll do it by my own hand." She interprets this to mean that Sakura had died hating everybody for how they'd mistreated her. She says, we're all guilty, and none of us deserve to live. Monokuma interrupts with a shocking revelation. He played a nasty trick.
I was going to say, Monokuma interrupts with a shocking revelation. He's a dick. That's not shocking.
He's a huge dick. He wrote that suicide note to fuck with Hina. Hina was extremely fucked up. We said how could she possibly murder her best friend, but turns out she did try to murder and suicide 8 people, including herself. But turns out that despair...
In her defense, it was because he thought that they should atone for...
Yeah, no, I have a lot of thoughts about the concepts of complicity and atonement. I really, as we'll see later, I don't hate Hina, but it is very shocking and depressing. Anyway, it turns out it was a trick by Monokuma. Turns out that's not what happened. He was psychologically manipulating her. However, he says there was actually a real suicide note. You know what? I'll read it, says Monokuma. It's very long, so I'm going to be paraphrasing. It starts with, "My good friend Hina, there's something I have to tell you." Sakura says she's been giving information to the mastermind. The first night they came to see her, they told her they'd taken control of her family's dojo and would destroy it if she didn't become their spy. She says the dojo has been in her family for 300 years, and at the time she saw it as her solemn duty to protect it. But that was her greatest weakness, and she made the mistake of agreeing. The mastermind wanted her to murder, thinking that the killing game wouldn't begin unless someone kicked it off. Of course, Sayaka changed the plan, and the mastermind says, hold off now until there's another stalemate that needs fixing. Through her time here, seeing everyone fight so desperately to stay alive, she realized her own weakness in succumbing, and she now cannot betray the people who call her their friend. So, she told Monokuma she wouldn't do it any longer. Monokuma butts in here and says it's ironic. Everyone hated Sakura because I told everyone she was the spy, but she only told everyone I only did that because I was getting revenge on her for rebelling against me. So if she hadn't rebelled against me, you all wouldn't have hated her. So you hated her because of her selfless act. Anyway, the note continues. She says she understands if we all hate her because this is due to her own weakness, and she will accept any attack on her. However, it's not just her. Now everyone is fighting each other and hating each other, and she's worried it'll end in another murder, which is just what the mastermind wants, and it'll be all her fault. So it's her duty to, quote, get this situation under control by obeying the mastermind and committing murder herself. She says this will keep the dojo safe without her having to kill anybody, and when she dies, so too will die the conflict between the rest of the group. She says, you are all my most treasured friends, like none I have ever had. Hina is shocked and ashamed. Sakura didn't hate everybody or feel cornered. In fact, she did what she did as a sacrifice out of love. The letter continues. Sakura apologizes to Hina for not telling her, but she knows if she can thwart the mastermind's plan, her life will have meaning. Also, Hina can use this note to easily resolve the trial. That's a little funny. Also, she wants Hina to talk to Byakuya, Toko, and Hiro for her and explain all this, even though that'll obviously suck. She hopes her actions will speak for themselves, and that even the three of them will forgive her. Monokuma says her sacrifice was pointless. She died to stop him from killing you. Okay, we're getting to... This is my favorite scene in the entire game, by the way. So Monokuma says her So at this point, we're very, very depressed. It's very heartbreaking. Major, of Mice and Men vibes, IMO. Anyway, Monokuma says her sacrifice was pointless. She died to stop you from killing each other, but you all almost did it anyway. He says, well, time for execution. But here is where it shifts. Instead of being engulfed in despair, Makoto gets fucking pissed. He says, first of all, you bitch, this is your fault for tricking Hina with the fake note. Secondly, Sakura's death wasn't a waste because she caused us all to remember that we're all friends and we want to work together. Hiro agrees. He doesn't hate Sakura at all. In fact, he's grateful to her. Everyone says, we've had enough of this shit. And then, I hate to say this, but I gotta hand it to him, even Byakuya turns here. He doesn't exactly become a good person at all. He still is being an asshole, but he's like, you know what? This whole time I've been saying the only thing to do is win this game, and that you have to win this game by killing each other, and friendship doesn't matter. I still think friendship doesn't matter, but you know what? Go fuck yourself. I'm not letting anybody control me. He says now the only thing he lives for is kicking the mastermind's ass, and Toko agrees. So finally, for the first time in the entire game, every single person that is here, all 7 of them, is united in their wanting to beat the shit out of the mastermind. They are hyped up, they are friends, and they are going to win with the power of hope and friendship, and also maybe a lot of spite.
6 of them. It's 6 of them.
I thought at the end of the game...
You said your math was wrong at the beginning of the game. You're fixing it, but it's been 6 the whole time.
No, y'all are forgetting you're forgetting Makoto.
No.
Makoto.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. We're good. That's so funny. I swear to God, at the end of the game, when it says who's left, I swear to God, it said 7, and I remember being confused. Like, what?
Well, yes, but that's because
it does say 7 because of the scene we're about to get to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, seriously, it's confusing me this entire game. I was like, I just saw the scene. Anyway, okay, thank you. So anyway, all 6 of them are going to win with the power of hope and friendship. Monokuma's extremely annoyed. He says, well, still punishment time. He says, look, someone's got to die, but I can't just sub in anybody I want. I know. How about a special guest? So just as we were engulfed in hope for a little bit, it's fleeting. Chihiro's green electronic face appears. Her laptop is on the stage of execution. A giant, I forget the name of this, but you know, the giant machine that is a shovel. The giant
backhoe?
Yes, the giant backhoe drives up and just smashes her about 50 billion times into tiny little pieces. Everyone is shocked. Makoto is pierced through. Just as they thought they'd won, it turns out that their friend, this beautiful, beautiful friend who is the ghost of one of their beautiful friends, has been killed. Makoto hollers at Monokuma, the most mad he's ever been. Monokuma says he knew the entire time about AE. It wasn't a secret at all. All of that was for nothing. Monokuma put the data in that laptop as kind of a gift to them, as a bonus if they could figure it out, and he didn't even mind us finding out any of that stuff. It's just like, sure. But trying to get into the network was too much. He had to stop her. Once again, everyone's despair turns into properly directed rage. AE's death wasn't in vain. They're still going to kick Monokuma's ass. Monokuma pompously says, oh, by the way, there was a PS on Sakura's letter. Hina says, I have a clue that'll help you all. Hina, she says. I have a clue that will help you all. I've been talking to the mastermind off and on, so I've learned something. The mastermind has done something to you all. What they did was, ... and Monokuma is, remember, the one reading it. He's like, oh, wait, I'm not going to tell you. That would be a spoiler. He says, not telling you and annoying you like this is revenge for all of you hardening your resolve against me. Makoto wonders, what did the mastermind do to our bodies? Did he, like, put a bomb in us or something that'll blow up if we try to leave? Hina feels like total shit.
It's a bomb that will explode if you don't. If you stop going faster than 55 miles per hour.
Yes.
They have to run like crazy around the school.
That'd be dope.
You got to hold down that circle button.
Never stop running.
Hina feels like complete shit for trying to murder all of her friends. Byakuya, of all people, forgives her. He doesn't say I forgive you, but she says sorry, and Byakuya is like, it's fine, and then she says sorry again. He's like, stop apologizing. No one needs to apologize to me more than once. And everyone else is kind of just like, honestly, like, at this point, we're fucking cool. You know, like, sometimes you don't even need to go through the effort of forgiving someone because you just get it, and you all just went through something together, and it's like, bro, that was 10 minutes ago. Like, I don't know. I've been in that kind of situation before where it's not even that you don't forgive them or do. It's just like, a lot has happened in the last 15 minutes. Why are we even thinking about it anymore? Which I think is really sweet. Also, I forgot. There was a line that I skipped, but it becomes important, so I'll unskip it. One of her lines, Sakura also says, Sakura says in her final note, she says something like, I will stop at nothing. I will defeat the mastermind, which is funny because she is about to kill herself. So what could she mean by that? There's one final scene. Makoto is in his room sleeping. Suddenly, he gets woken up. Kyoko is standing right over him. He left his door unlocked like a dumbass. It's 3 a.m. She says she has a favor she wants to find out. She has a favor to ask. She wants to find out what Sakura meant by that. She leans in and whispers, meet me at the data center on the 4th floor. Now we think to ourselves, wasn't that door locked? So we go up there and we get to the door and it is locked and Kyoko isn't there. When we try to jostle the handle, Monokuma shows up. He says, hey, you know the rules. And we're like, we didn't break it down yet. We were just checking if it was locked. And he's like, yeah, I know. I just thought I'd remind you of the rules so that you don't break the rule. Please do not. And then Monokuma goes away. A second later, Kyoko shows up and is like, oh, hey, man. Hey, we're done. Let's go back to bed. And we're like, what? What's going on? And to me, I don't really get what's going on, but I think that was like you were being a distraction, right? Like, I feel like that's what happened here. You were being a distraction while she went and did something, but Makoto doesn't get it. He's very confused. And as you're about to go back to the dorm, she does lean in and whisper. She says something very important. She says, Mikuro Ikusaba, the 16th student. They're hidden somewhere in this school. They're the ultimate despair. Watch out for her. And that's the end of the chapter, and that's why it says there's 7 people alive instead of 6. Thank you. The whole time, this whole chapter, I kept counting, like, no, that's 6. No, but it's 7. Wait, but it's 6.
Yeah, so it does a really cool things. At the end of each chapter, it kind of does like the Telltale of Walking Dead, where it's like who's alive, and will fade out with silhouettes of who's all dead or whatever. And so this one it fades out and the number's down. But Sakura is a big old girl, so when hers fades out, there's another like silhouette that was in front of her that we couldn't see the whole time, and the number clicks back up.
Oh, it was so fast I didn't really notice.
It clicked up to 7 with a question mark.
Man, I somehow missed all that. I must have been whatever. Yeah, so we have a mystery. Turns out that very obvious checkup gun at the beginning of the game where there were 16 chairs. Yeah, there were 16 students all along. That's freaky. Yeah, so that's it for this week. I've got just a couple of memorable moments. It's a pretty small number. I might have one or two thoughts I want to share, but I also might just not. So one of y'all share first.
I was fully prepared to finish Kiro's story and tell everything that was funny on his last couple of dates, but I accidentally gave him a bad present, and he then did not tick up to his next social link for the next 5 free times that we had.
Lol.
I literally did not read words on purpose this entire week because I fucked up with Hero. So, Eli, what do you got?
I hung out with Byakuya because it was like, I'm running out of people to hang out with, and whatever, Byakuya, he might give me something useful. Yeah, I mean, his whole story is he's a big old dick, and he just thinks he's going to rule the world someday. And I hate him. But I really, I've gotten really invested in the story in this game. And Sakura, shot up to my favorite character just from this chapter alone.
She's amazing.
And I feel so bad about not hanging out with her when I had the chance. I tried to this week, but by the point that I tried to, she was like, no, I really don't want to hang out right now. Sorry. And then I tried to hang out with Hina, and she said kind of the same thing. She wasn't feeling up to it. So, okay. So Byakuya it is.
Speaking of Sakura, I have 2 memorable moments about running this podcast with Eli about Sakura. So, number 1 is we warned Eli beforehand that there was going to be trans rage coming along. So he's playing the game for the first time, and he sees Sakura, who has the body and face of Goku, curly hair, and a Japanese schoolgirl uniform on. And he goes, oh God. And I say, no, I promise she's amazing. And this is why I got to this point, and I love her to death because of this. Related,
she's really good.
If you remember, Sakura was the person I went on dates with for the first 2 things, and I had almost completed saying the sentence. I wanted to go on dates with Sakura before she died. Maddie's internet dropped. And we had technical difficulties that saved me from saying that.
Christ.
Because I almost spoiled the whole thing. And as soon as we ended recording, I went into Maddie's DMs. I was like, oh my God, thank God. Because I almost completely ruined it.
I mean, I've kind of, it's sort of like Game of Thrones for me, and I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. And the reason for that is because everybody says, don't get attached to anyone because your fave will die. And that's kind of how I felt through playing this, is I don't really want to get attached to people because I know they're just going to die at some point. But her death, I think, is part of what makes her a really great character.
Yeah.
She's very sympathetic. You understand her motivations for being the spy. I didn't suspect that she would be the spy either because she just seemed so down to earth.
Yeah.
At least compared to the other students.
She didn't have any weird dumb issues. She was just a normal good person to the point of almost being dull.
She just wants to be ripped. And I respect that.
I respect that too. Like my girlfriend.
She trusted people. Even when they tried to straight up fucking murder her, she was like, these guys are still my friends. And I'm like, well, girl, you need to get a better idea of what friendship is. Yeah. But I also sympathize with that because I've been friends with some super toxic people in the past because I believed in them and I believed in the power of friendship and that maybe I could help them not be toxic. It's not how that works, by the way. Don't do what I did.
Don't try it.
Yeah. Start cutting toxic people out of your life if it becomes clear that they are irredeemable, because some people are irredeemable.
Unless you're locked in a room forced to murder people.
Yeah, but maybe, yeah. If they're trying to kill you, maybe cut them out of your life. And if you're trapped with them, then at least try, but understand that there will be limits to how friendly you can be with them. Especially if you've been told that you all have to kill each other to get out. But yeah, I really like her character, and at some point I will probably go back and replay this just so that I can appreciate her all over again and kind of get a better, because on a first playthrough with a game like this, I feel like you don't really get a full sense of everything because there's stuff that you miss. There's stuff that, you can't go on the dates with everyone. So of course, there's that you have to do to get a better idea of the character. But yeah, I feel like it's going to take an additional playthrough to really appreciate everything as a whole.
I'm feeling that way on my second playthrough. I will say on my second playthrough, the effect that it had for me this week, I told Eli this during the part that we're going to be cutting out, but I had to take breaks like every 10 minutes this week because it was so fucking depressing. Because I already knew how it was going to end. So the scenes where they're all fighting each other and not liking each other and being mean to Sakura, and the scenes when they're investigating and you're learning how the characters treated Sakura, it's so fucking heartbreaking. So I would play for 20 minutes, and then I would have to go do something else for a while and then come back later. And of course I'm also writing the notes, so I'm digging in and trying to write it in my own way and stuff like that. So that makes it even harder, I think. Yeah, it was tough. Eli, did you have any other MMs?
No, not really. I just wanted to share those thoughts. This was absolutely the best chapter so far. And I did want to say, Sam's talking about how these kids are supposed to be the best of the best and they're not dumb and whatever. No, they're stupid. They couldn't figure out that Hifumi was alive that whole time. And, they couldn't figure out, the poison shit didn't come up for the longest time, even though one of the things in the Monokuma file was she fucking vomited blood. You don't do that when you get bashed in the head with maybe you would if you got a really, really bad concussion. Not blood, probably. You might throw up, but not blood. But, that's... They overlook... And I mean, maybe it's because I'm playing on gentle. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. But I feel like they overlook some really key details.
I think they're pretty dumb. I think that out of every case, 9 out of 10, deductions, I just am able to usually get before the trial even starts. But there's usually 1 or 2 that I can't. And that's where I'm okay, I still don't actually know who did it because there's one thing I can't figure out, right? So I appreciate that there's always 1 or 2. And when they get to that, it's always very cool to me where I'm oh, neat, right? But also a lot of it is just y'all, come on.
Yeah.
Though I do feel like the game goes through it faster than it used to. In the very first case, it was let's figure out the extremely obvious question of the murder weapon for 10 fucking minutes. And in this, it's one, what's it called? The real-time debate. One real-time debate, you're what was murder weapon? Wham, bam, boom. It was the bottle. Okay, cool, next thing. So that's nice, at least. I feel like they spend less time on it.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about how I played this game back in October, and I just remembered that this case was so hard on me. I had to live tweet it with Maddie in our DMs. So I searched for the term Sakura and brought up my memorable moments from October, fresh ones about this thing.
Oh, smart!
And so I said. see, the first thing I did was talk shit about the Monokuma track, which I still will die on that hill.
It's so. It's kind of. I kind of like how weird it is, but I also kind of hate it.
It almost feels like it sucks on purpose, so that because Monokuma wants you to hate it and be annoyed. It's
I think that's definitely it. So the first soccer related thing I did was, oh no, Sachan, frowny face, and I'm like, I'm in the middle of her class trial, and I think that she killed herself. Don't spoil it. And I'm like, no, Hina Bibi, what is you doing? And then I brought up a point that I still think is insane, is how hard to localize the Hangman's gambits must be, because the entire game is really difficult, but specifically getting a clue to line up just right to fit in with the gameplay of the letter shooting, and it just seems like nuts. But then I was like, I was right, frowny face, poor Sachan. It's fucked of Monokuma to swap the side notes. Wah, 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 this game is too good. Oh no, Chihiro, frowny face. And then, let's see, we're starting talking about the, just talked about how the game is, real good, basically, after that point. Stuff we've already talked about. But I did send this picture that I'm about to put into the host chat.
What awful thing are you sharing with us? What the fuck? Is this... Okay, so I think that what I'm seeing here is Sakura, but what if Sakura was an e-girl? Or was an esports... Was a gamer? Was a streamer?
That does appear to be what that is.
I don't like it. It's very cursed, is all I'm saying. Why would you send this to me? I think this is disrespectful of Sakura's memory, Sam. Sam, are you here?
Yeah, I can't hear him anymore.
Yeah. I feel like he would have said something stupid at that point. That's our bit. I say something stupid. He says something stupid. He's not even turning green. We should tell him that he's gone.
I did.
Okay, yeah, I just saw. Thank you for that. We almost got through an entire thing without a technical difficulty. Almost. So close.
I know, right?
He's back.
Yay.
We can hear you.
But it was great. You're like, I'm sure Sam would have said something stupid by now. Like, I've been saying stupid stuff the entire time.
I was right.
Sweet to hear what my stupid shit was.
I have a couple really quick, very lighthearted ones. One fun one. When I actually should have written more context for this, but at some point we learned that Genocide Jack, you know how she has a really extreme crush on Byakuya? She vocally says at one point out loud that she wants to murder Byakuya. And not as part of the killing game. If you recall, her thing is that she only murders cute boys. So, like, she's like, hey, I have a crush on you, and I'm going to chase you everywhere, and I want to fuck. Also, I'm pretty sure we did fuck in the previous chapter. Also, I'm definitely going to murder you at some point. Which is extremely funny. Kind of hot. Maybe Byakuya's into it. I don't know. Something else
I love genocide.
she owns. I had a retroactive, interesting realization. After when this chapter first starts, one character says that they're going to go do something at nighttime, and someone's like, well, wait a second. What about Celeste's rule? Or they're like, what about that rule about how we all agree to not go out at night? And someone's like, I don't really think that matters anymore. And also, crazy enough, I just realized Celeste, way back in chapter 1 or even chapter 0, the prologue, was the one who said, let's not go out at night. That was part of her long game plan all along. Because she's like, if I tell everybody that we can't go out at night, then eventually I'll be able to murder somebody at night. So that's cool. But she set that up like 3 chapters before it was relevant. Anyway, one more that I didn't write enough. I need to write more context for my MMs, honestly. That's right. I took screenshots. I don't feel like looking it up. Fuck it. When Sakura first dies, Makoto gives a really cool little monologue where he's like, they're all just so depressing. They're all just so sad about the death. And Makoto is like, time to investigate. And he goes, it's not a matter of hoping we can do it. If we have to survive, we have to do it. It's the kind of ... hopeless hope. What choice? We have no choice but to do it. Which I really like. I feel like that sums up my entire like ethos, both personally and as far as like political activism and world affecting stuff. Like, what are you gonna fucking do? Not do it? Like, what else are you gonna fucking do? And I think that gives you hope. I think it's way more hopeful to be doing something than to not be doing something, even if it doesn't seem like there's any chance, right? So that's something that I like. Also, yeah. What was I? Oh, I also want to suggest. I didn't think of this last time, but I want to briefly suggest that maybe when Byakuya was saying like, nobody can control me, that's what I'm doing. I'm just mad at you. I'm not playing your stupid game. He also even says the game is now boring because no one wants to kill each other. There's a chance that he could be doing like the ultra tsundere thing where he's like, I don't actually have feelings or care about my friends. I'm not your friends. I just am mad at Monokuma, and that's why I won't kill people. I think he may have been secretly infected with the virus known as friendship. But of course... But he only barely and only a little bit. I'm not saying I don't still fucking hate him. Yeah. But I think he may have been... I mean, okay, frankly, I do feel like someone like this only grows up this way if it's all they know. He's surrounded by rich, evil, entitled assholes, so he thinks that. So maybe he's around friendship for the first time ever, and it's been a couple weeks. Maybe it's the teeniest bit rubbing off on him, you know?
And I should amend what I said earlier, because I know I said, like, some people are irredeemable. I don't truly believe that entirely, but I will say it's not up to you to redeem.
Yeah. I think...
And that's the situation with Byakuya, is, like, he probably is redeemable, but it shouldn't be up to any of those other kids to be the ones to redeem him.
Yeah. It's like, sometimes it's not, I don't think anyone's irredeemable philosophically, but sometimes someone can be pragmatically irredeemable, aka you maybe shouldn't be spending your time and emotional effort on this because it's not going to happen. But that's different than saying it's impossible for this to happen. Anyway, I don't know if that's true, but I think that's an interesting way to interpret it, especially for a character that I ranted 2 weeks ago about how much I hated him. That's all for me.
He sucks a little less.
He sucks a little bit less. Yeah, and I...
one tiny iota less.
He's 99.9% terrible. Anyway, that's all I've got. If anyone else has anything, if not, we will wrap it up.
I'm good.
Yeah, that's about all I've got. Gotta go back to playing DanganRonpa and Trigger Happy Havoc on my PlayStation. But, if you like what you heard here, you can hit us up at www.rpgbook.club. It has links to all of our socials as well as to our Ko-Fi, which is at ko-fi.com/rpgbookclub, where you can donate either monthly or one-off donations. Shout outs to our good friend Carr, who came and just dropped another $100 on us because he really wants us to finish .hack. He is a
bless you,
beautiful boy with an expendable income that I cannot fathom. And so shout outs to him for all the support over this past year. And also shout outs to let me get their names, because there's a lot of our new friends that have shown up this week. We have
most of them we shouted out last week, right?
I don't remember all the ones we've shouted out.
Let's just shout out all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so this might be 2 shout outs for you. you're welcome. So shout outs to Doho. Shout outs to Brendan Benji Button. His name is too long and goes off. Oh, Brendan Benji Button Fraser Jr. Shout outs to
I love that.
C-Stay. Shout outs to Will Kreplin. And I think there was one more. Feels like there was one more.
There's one more. Oh no, we're forgetting a shout out. We can get him next time.
Yeah. Maybe not, because I'm looking through the thing on the side, and I think I was just thinking of Will.
All right, I think that's it. Also, by the way,
sure I didn't forget Will, so I didn't forget another person.
While you're doing that shout out. Sorry. Yeah. So shout out to all those people. Also, we used to always be like, "Hey, Eli, you want to plug something?" And Eli was the only person to ever have anything to plug. I have something to plug, which is that I'm doing Twitch streaming now. And the reason I wanted to plug that, or the reason I thought of it, is because Doho tuned in. So thank you. So shout out to Doho for being one of the first people besides my close friends who are contractually obligated because of friendship to watch my streams. Thank you, Doho, for tuning in. Doho seemed to have a decent time watching me play, and that was really fun. So if you want to follow me on, or even just check me out on Twitch, I'm Spiffle, Spiffl. Like I always say, I'm Maddie Grace Spiffle Webbin. I'm still working through what I'm going to be doing. I'm doing special streams, usually on Saturdays, which is to say I have certain games I'm going to play that I'm putting some effort into, and I have interesting stuff planned. Like I'm going to do like an NES variety hour where I play some sort of lesser known NES games. During the week, though, is a little more chill. During the week, usually around the time that the sun goes down around here, so around 6 or 7 p.m. PST, Pacific time, I'm streaming Mario 3. I stream Mario 3 because I'm very good at Mario, and I play with some specific restrictions to make it a little bit harder and more interesting for myself. So tune in any evening to watch me play Mario, and tune in on Saturdays to watch me do whatever special stuff I have cooked up each week. I actually mostly just wanted to shout out Doho, though. Thank you a lot. It really meant a lot that you were there. Okay, cool. I'm done.
Yeah, and if you want to get your own shout out, you can come join us in the Discord. It's poppin'. Everyone there is fun. And as much as I love Maddie and Eli and talking about games and how they make me feel, the Discord is the 100% best thing that's come out of this podcast.
Yeah, Discord rules.
I feel like I have friends in a way that I really would like. I talked to my therapist about how like lonely I was and how much I felt like I didn't have friends, and then we started the podcast, and now I feel like I have friends. So,
yay!
So retroactive shout out to every single one of you, especially those of you that chime in and talk every day. Like it's great. The Discord is awesome. You should come and hang out with us. We're good people, and it's a trans safe space. There are a lot of trans people in this. There's a disproportionate number of trans people in this Discord. But other than that has been this week for RPG Book Club, and I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Maddie Grace at Spiffle on twitch.tv Webbin.
And, be excellent to each other.
Yeah, toodaloo, folks.
Bye, bitches.